Hello guys, Sakafus here. We're a few days before Game Week 22 deadline. This is the best team you can have for the next 5 game weeks according to my model. And in this video, I will explain to you why. We had a small break from Premier League for the Cup game, so we had a bit more time for this video. So I decided to make this video a little bit more deep into details in its picture I will show to you. I will take one data point as an example, and I will try to analyze a little bit further why and how my model is working. Let's start with the first picture and see what's happening. This is the table, the plot with the expected goals each team scored so far in the Premier League and the expected goals conceded but so far in the Premier League for every team of the league. On the x-axis, we can see the non-penalty expected goals per 90 they scored. So the more to the right a team is, the most the more threatening they have been so far. As you can see here, Manchester City is the most threatening team so far in the league with almost 1.8 expected goals per 90. Some other teams with good attacks so far are Arsenal, Manchester United, and Chelsea. The closest to the bottom line a team is, the least amount of expected goals they conceded, so they have better defense and better chances for clean sheets. Arsenal is the team with the best defense so far, with around 0.8, more likely 0.7 expected goals conceded per 90. Some other teams with good defenses are Newcastle, Liverpool, and Manchester City. Why are we using this plot? Expected goals are the most useful metric to find out which teams have good attacks and which teams have good defenses. Why do we care about this? Because when an attacker of us plays against Arsenal, we need to know that Arsenal has a good defense and avoid playing our attackers against Arsenal. On the other side, Burnley has the worst defense in the league. That's a very useful information because we want to know the teams that have the worst defenses, like Burnley, West Ham, and Sunderland, and play our attackers against them. But this information alone is not enough. Yes, Burnley has a worse defense than Arsenal. Newcastle has a better defense than Tottenham. We don't need a plot to find out this information. The reason we need these numbers is because we can use those data and make a data analysis and find out exactly how much better an Arsenal defense is compared to a Fulham defense. How much goals our attacker is expected to score against Arsenal and how much goals he is expected to score against Fulham. And using this information, we can create the fixture difficulty rating and predict how many points each player will score in the future. So let's start with the defensive fixture difficulty rating. This is the fixture difficulty rating for keeping clean sheets. Let's use Arsenal as an example. As you can see here, Arsenal is the first team on this table because Arsenal is the best defense. They are expected in game week 22 playing away against Nottingham Forest to keep 0.44 XCS. That stands for expected clean sheets. That means that The probability for Arsenal to keep a clean sheet on this game is 44%. This is the FDRCS fixture difficulty rating clean sheet 0.98. That means that this fixture for Arsenal is 2% tougher than usual. The average difficulty is 1. If you have a difficulty over 1, that is an easy fixture for your defenders. If you have a difficulty rating lower than 1, that means that this is a tough game week. If we see here Liverpool playing against Burnley at home, the FDRCS is 1.53. That means that when you play against Burnley at home, your probability for a clean sheet is 53% higher. So 0.98 means that Arsenal has almost their usual 2% tougher probability for a clean sheet. Overall, if we go here for the next 5 game weeks, Arsenal is expected to keep 0.45 clean sheets per game. That means that on average, in the next 5 games, they're expected to score 45% clean sheets, and their fixture difficulty rating is 1. So their next 5 games are not tougher or easier than usual. They're average. Let's see now the fixture difficulty rating for attackers. Now we need to know a player that plays on the midfield or on the forward spots, how many goals he's expected to score compared to his average goal that he has so far in the season. Let's take Crystal Palace as an example. Crystal Palace has the easiest fixture in the next 5 game weeks. They start on game week 22 playing away against Sunderland, and their FDR fixture difficulty rating is 1.03. That means that Sunderland away is 3% easier than the average Premier League fixture. So Crystal Palace attackers are expected to score 3% higher than usual. If we go here, this is average fixture difficulty rating for the next 5 game weeks. Crystal Palace has 1.14. That means that they play against teams that concede 14% more goals than the average Premier League team. And this is mainly because they play on game week 26 against Burnley at home, which is the easiest fixture in the league right now. So now that we know the team, the fixture difficulty rating, it's time to see the individual stats of the players in each position, starting with the goalkeepers. Goalkeepers are mainly score points from saves and clean sheets. So what we see here is on the x-axis, we see the saves per 90. So the closer a player is to this line, to the right line, the more saves he has so far in the league. So Dubravka is the goalkeeper with the most saves per 90 so far, with more than 3.5 saves per 90. And Roefs from Sunderland is also a goalkeeper with a high saves per 90. The closer to the bottom line a goalkeeper is, the least expected goals conceded so far, so his probability for clean sheets is higher. And this is why Raya from Arsenal with 0.7 is the goalkeeper who conceded the least amount of expected goals. Some other goalkeepers that conceded low amount of expected goals are Alisson from Liverpool, Donnarumma from City, and Pope from Newcastle. But what is more important, saves or clean sheets? To answer this question, we can transform the saves and the clean sheet probability to fantasy Premier League points. And this is what we are doing here. On this table, you can see the top 10 goalkeepers in the league. The first of the list is Raya from Arsenal. The reason he is first is because he is the best goalkeeper in the league right now based on expected points. Let's see every column and explain what are all these numbers. Raya plays for Arsenal and his cost is 5.9. He's expected to play 90 minutes per game. He's conceding 0.73 expected goals per 90 per game. He's making 1.52 saves per game. His expected points per price is 0.67. The higher this number is, the better. It means value for money. And as we can see here, the most value for money goalkeeper right now is Pope from Newcastle. Let's go back to Raya. X point, expected points. If Raya keeps conceding 0.73 expected goals per game and 1.52 saves per 90, he will be scoring 3.95 points per game. In the next 5 games, he's expected to score 3.82 points per game, and in game week 22, he's expected to score 3.8 points on this single game week. So if we had to play a free hit right now, the best goalkeeper is not Raya. The best goalkeeper for a free hit is Alisson from Liverpool, with 4.22 expected points for game week 22. Let's go now to the defenders. Things here are a little bit more complicated. Let's move me because I'm hiding Timber, the best defender of the game. Defenders score points in multiple ways. They score points from goals, assists, clean sheets, and defensive contributions. On the x-axis here, we have the expected goals and expected assists per 90. The more further to the right a player is, the more attacking he has been so far in the league. And as you can see here, Timber is the most threatening defender in the league so far, with almost 0.30 expected goal plus expected assist per 90. Some other defenders that are a bit threatening so far in the league are Senesi, Gay, Bueno, Gvardiol, and Gabriel. Defenders also score points from clean sheets. The closer to the bottom line a defender is, the least expected goals conceded so far, so his probability for clean sheets is higher. Gabriel and Timber are the defenders closer to this line. So those two guys are the players, the defenders with highest probability for a clean sheet. We can also see some defenders with green dots, yellow dots, and red dots. Defenders with green dots are the defenders who are scoring 10 or more defensive contributions per 90 minutes so far in the league. So, watching this plot, we can instantly see that some defenders are standing out. For example, Timber is both threatening and high probability for clean sheets. So obviously he will be inside the best defenders. He's a good choice. We can also see that Senesi is both threatening and he has a green dot, so he has high defensive contributions. So he must be a good pick. But out of all these other players, who is the best one? What we can do to find out who is the best defender right now? We can transform those data to FPL points. If we assume that those players will keep scoring the same data, the same expected goals, the same expected assists, the same defensive contributions, and we transform those data to FPL points, this is the table with the expected points for the top 20 defenders in the league. As you can see here, Timber is the best defender for expected points, and let's use him as an example to explain why. Timber plays for Arsenal and he costs 6.3. His expected minutes are 90. Let's make a little break here. to talk a bit about expected minutes. The expected minutes are actually the most difficult thing a model can calculate in Fantasy Premier League. There are so many different factors that play a role on how many minutes a player will play in the next game that a model is almost impossible to predict how many minutes each player will play. The reason Timber has 90 expected minutes at this point is because in his last games for Arsenal, in most of them he played 90 minutes, and this is why he's expected to play 90 minutes. But this is not very easy to predict. Let's assume that he's playing 90 minutes. He has 0.22 expected goals per 90, which is the highest among those 20 defenders. He also has 0.05 expected assists per 90, not so high. He's conceding 0.62 goals per game, which is amazing for a defender. It's the best in the league again. He has 5.71 defensive contributions per 90, which is a very low, and he's probably never gonna hit the defensive contribution bonus. We don't expect any defensive contributions bonus from him. His value for money is 0.97, and if he maintains those numbers, he will be scoring 6.12 points per game, and in the next 5 games, he will be scoring 5.83. And for game week 22, he is expected to score 5.61 points, and that makes him the best defender for game week 22. Gabriel is also very high in projections and very close to Timber. Those two are the best defenders in the league right now. And other than Arsenal defenders, Senesi from Bournemouth is a very good defender, mainly because he has 13 defensive contributions per 90 minutes. So he is expected to hit the defensive contribution bonus every game. If you need a cheap defender for your team, we can see here that Hill from Bournemouth might be a good choice. And let's go now to the midfielders. Midfielders score points mainly from goals, assists, and defensive contributions. So, what we have here, we can see that Sade is expected to score 0.5 expected goals per 90. Why Sade is the midfielder with the highest expected goal projection? If you are a regular viewer on this channel, you know that recently I updated my model to consider recent form. Sade 2 weeks ago against Bournemouth, he scored 3 expected goals in one game. So my model thinks that Sade is in form. And this is why Sade, according to my model, is expected to score 0.5 expected goals in the upcoming games. Some other players with high expected goal threat are Palmer, Enzo, Cunha, Gibbs White, Semenyo, Saka, and others. Let's talk a bit about Semenyo. He just got transferred to Manchester City. My first thought about this is sell. Sell because his minutes are not safe anymore. We don't have data for him. He's a risk. Don't take risks. Just buy a more safe option. But I watched the cup game where Semenyo played, and he was fucking amazing. He was great. He was maybe the best player in the team. So I won't say buy Semenyo if you don't own him, but if you own Semenyo and you have a good option on your bench, you can bench Semenyo for 1 week against Manchester United in game week 22. Use your bench and wait and see if Guardiola will use Semenyo and if Semenyo is considered by Guardiola as a first team player. If we see Semenyo playing first team for Manchester City, I think he will be a very good option. On the y-axis, we have the expected assist per 90, and you can see here that Cherki and Fernandes are the players with the highest expected assist threat. Fernandes is back, he is fit, he is a great FPL choice again. Cherki is a minute risk. He was a minute risk before, and now with Semenyo in the team, he's even a higher minute risk. We also have penalty takers marked with bold letters. So you see Bruno Fernandes, Gordon, and Palmer, and Ndiaye and Soboslai with bold letters here. Ndiaye is out on the AFCON, so ignore him. Soboslai is probably the Liverpool penalty taker, but we're not 100% sure about this. Fernandes, Gordon, and Palmer are for sure the penalty takers in their teams. And as you can see here, I don't have Saka as the penalty taker because I'm not really sure if he's on penalties or not. Sometimes he takes the penalties, sometimes he donates the penalties to other players. I don't know. So I decided to mark him as a non-penalty taker because he's also very expensive. And when I have a player so expensive in my team, I want to be sure about him. Let's transform those data into FPL points and see what happens. As you can see here, Fernandes is the best midfielder in the game right now. He plays for Manchester United. His price is 9.1. He's expected to play 85 minutes. He has 0.27 expected goals per 90 and 0.44 expected assists per 90. He's conceding 1.26 goals per game. He has 9.5 defensive contributions per 90, so maybe sometimes he will be hitting the DEFCON bonus. He's on penalties, and he's expected to score 6.991 points per game if he maintains all those numbers. Some other good midfielders right now are Enzo, Casemiro, Sade, Cunha, etc. Some people, for sure, they will be very surprised with some dudes right here, especially Casemiro. Why Casemiro is so high right now in the projections? Let's see Casemiro. He's expected to play 90 minutes because recently he's playing 90 minutes. He has 0.22 expected goals per 90, which is not bad at all. He has also 0.15 expected assists per 90, not bad. And he has 13 defensive contributions per 90. That means that he will be hitting the deathbone bonus often. And this is why he's expected to score 5.83 expected points per 90. The fact that my model think Casemiro is so high in expected points, it doesn't mean that you should rush on buying Casemiro. We also know that Casemiro uh, in his career, in his history, it's not a player that scores a lot of goals. We also know that Manchester United is going through a managerial change. We don't know how Casemiro will be with the new manager. So if you don't own Casemiro, no rush to buy him. If you want to buy Casemiro, my model agrees with you. Let's do it. Why not? Uh, another interesting thing here is Saka. Look how much away is Saka from the top spots. If you watched my previous videos, Saka every week was very high, was very close, was inside the top five midfielders every week. And now he's here. He's in place. He's placed 19th in place 19 between the midfielders. Why? Because he's not on penalties. When we removed penalties from Saka, Saka is not among the top five midfielders. This is why penalties are very important in FPL. When a midfielder, is on penalties, you should add about zero point 0.7 to zero point 0.8 points per game because penalty takers usually, on average, they score that many points per game. That means that a player who is the penalty taker in the team, he will be scoring one goal from a penalty every 6 or 7 games. So that is zero point 0.6 or 7 or 8, 0.8 points per game. My model expects Saka to score 4.67 points per 90. If we add 1 point from penalty on average every game, Saka goes from 4.67 to 5.67, and that would make Saka the fourth best midfielder in the game. So, if you think Saka is on penalties, then he is between the top five midfielders in the game. If Saka is not on penalties, he's not inside the top five. But this shows you how close all these players are. The difference between the top midfielders are not very high. We're talking about very small differences, very small numbers, and this is why many models have different projections and different recommendations because little details can make the difference. I removed penalties from Saka because when I pay 10.2 million for a midfielder, I want to be sure this midfielder will produce points. If you still think Saka is penalty taker, he's a good FPL choice. If he's not on penalties, in my opinion, Saka is not worth the money, and he's also taking an Arsenal spot. And in my opinion, Arsenal spots are very useful for our defense because Arsenal defense is far better than any other defense. Let's go now to the forwards. Here we can see some very big differences compared to previous game weeks. So far, all forwards except Haaland were very trash, but we have some new entries on our shortlist. As you can see here, Haaland is still the forward with the highest expected goal threat with 0.8 expected goal per 90. But we can see here a new player, Watkins, 0.7. Using his season average and his recent form, my model is expecting Watkins to score 0.7 expected goals per 90 if he keeps performing like recently. We can also see here that after Haaland and Watkins, we have Thiago and Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin is also cheap, and Ekitike and Sesko are also high in expected goal threat. Every forward after them, in my opinion, is not worth of any consideration. If we transform those numbers into FPL points, this is what we have. Haaland, of course, is the best player in the game. 15.1 million price, 90 expected minutes, 0.79 expected goal per 90, 0.06 expected assist. He's on penalties. And if he maintains those numbers, he will be scoring 7.7 expected points per game. And in game week 22, he's expected to score 7.3 points. And this is the surprise. Watkins. He's very close right now to Haaland, and for game week 22, his expected points are 8.13, higher than Haaland's. So, should you captain Watkins because my model says so? Probably not. Me, personally, I will captain Watkins because I like his I like his data, I like his fixture, And I wanna do something differential because honestly, I'm captaining Haaland almost every game. That's boring. I wanna have some fun, and I will captain Watkins in game week 22, and I will pray to God that this decision will not destroy me. In the past, this season I captained Haaland. I think 19 out of 21 games. The two games that I didn't captain Haaland, one gone well, and one Haaland destroyed. Let's see what happens now. So let's assume that all my projections are accurate. What is the best team you can make if those projections are accurate? I have a script that can calculate every possible team combination and create the best possible team. Oh, sorry, before going there, let's see the top 20 players overall, regardless of position, because this way we can see how players in different positions compare to each other. And as you can see here, the best players overall are Haaland, Watkins, Fernandes, Thiago, and Timber. We can see here a mix of forwards, midfielders, and defenders. Let's now see the best team according to my projections. We have Raya on the goalpost, the best goalkeeper in the game, playing for the best defense in the game. And we also have Gabriel and Timber on our team, so we have triple Arsenal defense. Arsenal has by far the best defense in the league, so why not? We also have Senesi because after Arsenal defenders, he's the best defender because of his defensive contributions. Then we have Lacroix from Crystal Palace, decent defense, decent defensive contribution numbers. And we fill our defense with a cheap options, Alderete from Sunderland. Not the best clean sheet probability, but he's cheap and he has high defensive contributions per game, so we may get some defensive contribution bonus if we use him. I also have some alternatives here. The reason I'm having alternatives is because if you own any of these players, don't sell. They're good players. They're barely outside the optimal team. If you don't have money for this team, because this team is based on my budget, some teams has lower or higher budget than mine. So if you don't have money for this team, you can swap, for example, Lacroix with Anderson or Mukele to be inside your budget. You can also have Pope instead of Raya. They are almost the same, according to data. Or you may need the Arsenal spot for some other player. Use Pope instead of Raya. Let's go to the midfield. Fernandes, according to my model, he's the best midfielder right now. Enzo and Casemiro, good players and good budget, cheap players. Gordon, he's on penalties. He's nailed. He has a decent expected goal threat, decent expected assist threat. He can score points with many different ways. And we also have Gordon mainly because he's cheap. He will be our bench player. We are using the model decided to use a cheap bench option because the model wanted to fit three strong forwards in the team, Watkins, Thiago, and Haaland. And the only way to have three strong forwards and triple premium Arsenal defense was to have a cheap midfielder. So Wharton will be sitting on our bench almost every week, and we will have Gabriel and Timber playing, of course, every week with Senesi or Lacroix based on the fixture difficulty. Fernandes, Enzo, Casemiro, and Gordon will be playing every week, and Watkins, Thiago, and Haaland will be playing also every week. Some alternatives for the midfield are Sade and Cunha. They are not bad players. They're very good players. And if you own them or if you don't have money for any of the other players, or if you just don't like Gordon, for example, you can use Sade. So, guys, this is the best team according to my model. I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, of course, you can ask in the comments. You know, I answer to any comment. And I had a request from a viewer on the last week's video to talk a little about chip strategy. Second round started. We have all our chips available again. We have wildcard, free hit, bench boost, triple captain available again for the rest of the season. Let's talk about this for a bit. Let's start with this. Blank game week 34. On game week 34, we have some cup games, and we will be having a blank game week where four teams will blank. That will probably create a double game week in game week 33. We don't know yet which teams are doubling and which teams are blanking. In my opinion, the strongest chip of all is the triple captain. And in my opinion, you should not waste your triple captainship, playing this chip on a single game week where your player may have an unlucky day or may be rested. Me personally, I think we should be using our triple captainship in a double game week, especially if Haaland has a double game week on game week 33. Haaland will be a great triple captain. And even if Haaland is not doubling, any other player that he's decent with decent numbers and decent projected X points, he will be a good choice for triple captain. If we assume you are using your triple captain on a double game week, then your free hit can be used in the blank game week. Many teams will blank. Usually, the teams who blank are the good teams, the teams who proceed to the later stages of the cup. So we will be having probably players from this team because they are good players, and they will blank. So we can use triple captain on the double game week 33, free hit game week 34 blank. And what about our wildcard? There are two possible options for wildcard. One is to wildcard before game week 33, so we can prepare for the double and blank, or do exactly the opposite, use our free transfers to load on a lot of players who double in game week 33, and then because some of these players it will be players that we only want for the double. If they didn't have double, we don't want these players. So buy the doublers and then use our wildcard to sell them. So triple captain game week 33, free hit game week 34, and wildcard either game week 32 before the double or right after the blank. What about bench boost? Don't think of the bench boost too much. Between now and game week 38, when you see your team, you are trying to pick your first 11, and you see your bench, and you think, oh, this bench is very good. This bench is full of good players. All my players are fit and they have a decent fixture. Just hit the button. If you look at your bench at any week and you see your bench and you think that's a good bench, use the bench boost. Don't think about this too much. Don't waste transfers or chips or whatever to strengthen your bench to play your bench boost. Free transfers are very important. We should be using our free transfers to make the best team long term and not waste our free transfers just for the bench boost. I'm sure that between now and game week 38, it will be a good game week where you will be having a good bench. Just hit the button and play the best boost. Thanks for watching. Good luck to your team.